The cold wind howled through the thick forest, shaking branches and stirring the dry leaves into a restless dance. John Parker stood frozen in his doorway, eyes fixed on the unnatural glow slicing the night sky. It started as a faint light, then grew into a roaring streak of fire. Something was falling from the heavens, crashing hard into the woods just beyond his property. Without a second thought, John grabbed his flashlight and a heavy coat. His heart pounded fiercely, not just from the cold, but from a strange sense of urgency he couldn't explain. He ran through the narrow dirt path leading to the crash site, lungs burning as he pushed through the undergrowth. When he reached the clearing, the sight that greeted him stole his breath away. A huge metallic object lay broken across the forest floor. Its surface was shattered like glass, cracked and molten in places, yet it glowed softly with an eerie blue light that pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. Amid the wreckage, she was there, a figure curled on the ground, barely conscious, but fighting to stay alive. Her skin shimmered faintly under the flickering light, a soft, silver-blue hue that shimmered like a moonbeam. Her form was humanoid, yet unlike anything John had ever seen. She was clutching her swollen belly tightly. Pain was etched across her delicate face, eyes fluttering in and out of focus. Something primal told John she was pregnant, carrying life that needed to be saved. His instincts took over. He dropped his flashlight and carefully approached her. She made no move to resist when he gently lifted her into his arms. Suddenly, a strange noise caught his attention. From the shadows, two small figures emerged, moving with an unnatural grace. They looked like children, except their eyes glowed faintly with a strange, soft light. Their skin, like the woman's, shimmered in the dark, but they carried themselves with an eerie calmness, almost regal. One of them stepped forward and spoke in clear, measured English. "Master." John blinked, stunned. "Master?" he repeated. The child's eyes locked onto his, and John felt a strange warmth surge through him, a mixture of confusion, awe, and something he couldn't explain. The other child stepped closer, echoing the same word. "Master." John felt the weight of those words settle on him, heavy and mysterious. The air was thick with tension as John lifted the woman carefully and started moving toward his cabin, the two children silently following. The forest seemed to close in. Around them, shadows stretching like fingers in the moonlight. Who are you?" John asked the woman, desperation creeping into his voice. She tried to speak, but winced in pain. Then she whispered, "Lyra, Aaron and Scylla, my twins." John nodded, barely understanding but knowing these names mattered. He quickened his pace. At his cabin, he laid Lyra gently on the couch. The twins circled the room like protectors, their eyes scanning every corner. John's mind raced. He'd always believed there was more to the universe than what met the eye, but this was something else entirely. Lyra's breathing was shallow, but steady. John rummaged through his medical supplies, hoping he had something to ease her. "A pain. She's carrying twins," John whispered to himself, heart pounding. The twins moved closer to their mother, their glowing eyes flickering with emotion John couldn't decipher. Suddenly Lyra's hand shot out, touching John's arm weakly. "Protect twins," she urged. "They are special." John swallowed hard, nodding. Before he could respond, the soft hum of alien tech filled the room. From Lyra's side, a small device activated. A holographic map appeared, filled with symbols and unfamiliar constellations. John stared, entranced, but clueless. "They're coming," Lyra said with urgency. "They want the twins." John's mind snapped into survival mode. "We'll keep them safe," he promised. Outside, the forest was silent. But John knew the peace was temporary. Hours passed. John stayed by Lyra's side, watching as she rested. The twins remained silent but alert, their glowing eyes scanning every shadow. John felt a strange connection to them, like their fates were entwined. Master, Aaron whispered suddenly, breaking the silence. John looked up, startled. Teach us, the twin said quietly. John's breath caught. This wasn't just a rescue anymore. He had become part of a story far bigger than himself. Suddenly, the night shattered. A powerful engine roar split the air. John rushed to the window. A sleek black craft landed at the forest's edge. Figures in dark armor disembarked. Moving swiftly and silently, John grabbed a makeshift weapon and steadied himself. "They're here," Aaron said calmly. John's heart raced as the realization hit. The fight to protect Lyra and her twins had just begun. Cliffhanger, as the shadowed figures closed in. John realized he wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. He was fighting for the future of two alien children who called him Master. Shadows in the forest. John's breath came in ragged gasps as he stared out the cracked window. The sleek black craft was unlike anything he'd ever seen, smooth, angular, and silent as it touched down on the forest floor. Its dark metal reflected the pale moonlight, seeming to absorb the very light around it. The armored figures moved with military precision, like predators stalking prey. They were heavily armed, their faces hidden behind helmets that glowed faintly with an ominous red light. John's mind raced. Who were these people? Why had they come for Lyra and the twins? His hand tightened around the wooden bat he'd grabbed earlier. The room felt impossibly small and fragile, like it could shatter under the weight of what was coming. The twins, Aaron and Sila, stood silently behind him, their glowing eyes calm but alert. "We must hide," Aaron said softly, voice steady but urgent. John glanced at Lyra. She was pale but breathing steadily. Her hand twitched slightly, a sign she was still fighting for survival. "We can't leave her," John whispered. Sila stepped forward, her small form casting an otherworldly glow. "We will protect her. You protect us." John swallowed hard. "I don't even know how." Aaron's eyes narrowed and he reached out, gently touching John's forehead. A sudden flood of images and emotions hit John like a wave. Memories not. His own flashed before his eyes. Vivid scenes of distant worlds, starships cutting through black skies, an ancient conflict that had spanned light years. John staggered back, gasping. What was that?" he asked, voice trembling. "You have a gift," Sila said. "You can see through our eyes. Feel what we feel." John shook his head, still trying to process. "Why me?" he asked. "Why do you call me Master?" Aaron's expression softened. "Because your soul resonates with ours. You saved our mother's life. That makes you part of us." John's mind reeled. This was more than he bargained for. Outside, the dark figures were advancing. One of them spoke into a device, and John caught a glimpse of the flickering map they had. A holographic projection with blinking dots converging toward the cabin. John felt the weight of impending danger pressing against every fiber of his being. "We need a plan," he muttered. Sila's eyes flickered. "There is a hidden tunnel beneath the cabin, an ancient passage built long ago." John's eyes widened in surprise. "Tunnel? What kind of ancient passage?" "It was built by an old civilization, part human, part something else," Aaron explained. "A place to hide in times of war." Without waiting for more, John dropped to the floor and started searching under the worn rug by the fireplace. His fingers found a cold metal ring embedded in the floorboards. He pulled, and the boards creaked open, revealing a narrow stairway, descending into darkness. "We don't have much time," Sila warned. John lifted Lyra carefully, and the twins followed closely. They slipped down into the tunnel. The air was damp and cold, filled with the scent of earth and something metallic. John's flashlight barely pierced the gloom. As they moved deeper, strange symbols glowed faintly along the walls, ancient glyphs that seemed to pulse with a soft blue light the same color as Lyra's skin. "What is this place?" John whispered, awe creeping into his voice. "A sanctuary," Aaron replied. "A place of safety and secrets." Back above, the shadowed figures reached the cabin, weapons raised. A voice crackled through their comms. "They've disappeared!" "Search the perimeter." John's heart pounded in the dark as he carried Lyra through the winding passage. Suddenly, the tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber, illuminated by strange crystals embedded in the ceiling. The twins rushed forward, examining the crystals closely. "These crystals hold energy," Silas said, her voice filled with wonder. "They can shield us, hide us." John felt a sudden surge of hope. As they settled in the chamber, Lyra stirred weakly. John knelt beside her. "You're going to be okay," he whispered, brushing a lock of shimmering silver-blue hair from her face. She looked up, eyes filled with pain, but also gratitude. "Thank you, Master," she murmured. John swallowed hard, still unaccustomed to the weight of that title. Time stretched thin underground. John sat with the twins, learning what little they could share. They spoke of their home planet, a place torn apart by conflict, where their people had hidden the next generation of leaders, the twins, to protect them from an ancient enemy. "They are more than children," Arin explained. "They carry the bloodline of rulers who could unite the galaxy or destroy it." John's mind spun with the enormity of it all. He was just a man from a quiet town, but now he was protector of a royal lineage that could change everything. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A deep rumble echoed through the chamber. The tunnel entrance above was collapsing. "We need to move," Sila urged. John helped Lyra to her feet. She winced but nodded. The twins led the way deeper into the sanctuary. The new chamber was smaller, but filled with advanced technology, alien consoles, star maps, and devices that hummed with hidden power. John felt like he'd stepped into a dream. The twins activated a console, and a holographic star map appeared, showing a web of galaxies connected by glowing pathways. "We must reach the planet Eldara," Arin said. "There the truth awaits." John frowned. "But how? We're trapped here." Scylla touched a panel, and a hidden door slid open, revealing a small spacecraft hidden in the shadows. John's heart leapt. "We have a chance," Arin said. Outside, the shadowed figures regrouped. Their leader, a tall figure in black armor, surveyed the wreckage with cold eyes. "They escaped," he growled into his comm. "Find them," another voice ordered, "and bring the children back alive." The hunt was far from over. Back in the sanctuary, John prepared to face the unknown. He glanced at Lyra, still weak but determined, at Arin and Sila, eyes glowing with quiet strength. He was no longer just a man from the forest. He was their master now, and the fate of the twins, and maybe the entire galaxy, rested on his shoulders. Cliffhanger. As John and the alien family prepare to flee through the hidden sanctuary, alarms suddenly blare throughout the chamber. The black-armored pursuers have breached the underground defenses. Escape might not be possible unless John can unlock powers he never knew he had, the awakening. The red alarm lights pulsed like a heartbeat, casting flickering shadows on the ancient walls of the underground sanctuary. John's pulse raced, matching the frantic rhythm of the warning siren. Outside, the sound of heavy boots and mechanical weapons echoed down the tunnel. The black-armored hunters were no longer just a threat. They were inside the ancient refuge. John tightened his grip on the wooden bat he'd carried since the very beginning. It felt fragile compared to the high-tech weapons they were facing, but it was all he had. Beside him, Arin and Sila's glowing eyes burned with determination. Lyra, pale and weak, leaned heavily against the wall, clutching her swollen belly. I can't hold them off forever," Arin said, voice grim but steady. "They will overwhelm us if we don't find a way out." John swallowed hard, his mind racing for options. Then a sudden surge of energy coursed through the crystals embedded in the ceiling. The walls vibrated gently, and the flickering blue light intensified. "Something's happening," Scylla whispered. Stepping forward, John watched in awe as the ancient glyphs lining the chamber walls flared to life. The symbols glowed brighter, radiating warmth and light that chased away the shadows. Suddenly, the twin siblings raised their hands, palms glowing with ethereal energy. "The sanctuary is waking," Arin said. "It is responding to our presence. And to you," John's breath caught. "To me?" "Yes," Scylla said softly. "You carry the bloodline's strength. You are the key." John felt a strange sensation in his chest, like a spark igniting deep inside. A warmth spreading unlike anything he'd ever experienced. A vision flashed through his mind. Stars aligned in a celestial dance, planets illuminated by ancient power, a choice that would shape the future. His body trembled, but he stood firm. The first of the black-armored figures broke through the tunnel entrance. Weapons raised, John raised his bat. With a sudden roar, he charged forward. The battle in the chamber was chaotic and brutal, though John fought with a courage born of desperation. His bat swung in wide arcs, knocking stunned enemies back. Arin and Scylla unleashed pulses of radiant energy from their hands, their small forms glowing like living stars as they pushed the invaders backward. Lyra, despite her weakness, murmured incantations in an alien tongue, summoning a protective shield around the group. But the attackers were relentless. One of them lunged toward Lyra, weapon raised. John reacted instinctively, throwing himself between them. The bat connected with the attacker's helmet, cracking it open. The figure collapsed with a guttural sound. The others hesitated, but John could see the determination in their eyes. They would not stop. Suddenly, the chamber's main console began to glow. John looked up to see the holographic star map pulsing wildly. A new route had appeared, an escape path deep within the sanctuary. "We have to move," Scylla shouted. John scooped up Lyra, her breath shallow but steady. The twins led the way, their glowing forms illuminating the dark corridors. As they fled, John felt the strange power growing stronger within him. The light from the crystals bathed the walls, guiding their path. Deeper into the sanctuary, they reached a vast chamber filled with ancient starships. John's eyes widened. The ships were unlike any he'd seen, sleek, silent, with designs that defied earthly physics. One of the ships hummed with dormant power. Scylla approached a control panel, her fingers dancing over the alien symbols. The ship's hatch opened, revealing a cockpit bathed in soft blue light. "This is our chance," Arin said. John helped Lyra into the seat, then climbed in beside her. The twins stood at the controls, their eyes bright with hope. As the hatch sealed, the ship shuddered to life. Outside, the sound of pursuing footsteps grew distant. The sanctuary's ancient defenses had held long enough. The ship lifted silently through the earth, bursting into the cold night sky. John stared out the window, heart pounding. They were leaving everything. Behind, the forest, the sanctuary, the danger. Ahead lay the stars, the promise of answers on Eldara. But John knew the journey would not be easy. The galaxy was vast, filled with allies and enemies alike. Inside the ship, Lyra rested, her breathing steady but fragile. John sat beside her, taking her hand gently. "Thank you," she whispered. "For saving us." John smiled weakly. "We're in this together now." The twins huddled close, their glowing forms flickering softly. John looked at them, feeling the weight of the title they had given him. Master. It was a responsibility he never asked for, but one he could no longer deny. Suddenly, the ship's sensors beeped urgently. A blinking red dot appeared on the star map, a fleet of unknown ships closing in fast. John's heart sank. The hunters were not finished. The ship's alarms blared again as the pursuing fleet locked onto them. Arin and Scylla worked the controls frantically. "We must jump to hyperspace," Arin said. "But the ship is old. It may not hold. John gripped the armrest, fear rising. "Do what you have to," he said. With a flash of light and a roar of energy, the ship surged forward, ripping through the fabric of space. In the cold silence of hyperspace, John sat back, breath heavy. Lyra's hand tightened around his. "We're safe for now," she said. John nodded but couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Cliffhanger. As the ship speeds through hyperspace toward Eldara, the twins' mysterious lineage begins to awaken in John himself, unlocking powers that even he cannot control. But the shadowy enemies are closer than ever, and their next attack could come at any moment. Can John embrace his destiny as master before it's too late? Shadows of destiny, the endless stars stretched before them like a silent ocean, cold and distant. As the ship cut through hyperspace, the hum of the engines vibrated softly beneath John's feet, a constant reminder that they were moving further from Earth and deeper into the unknown. Yet the weight pressing on John's chest was heavier than the vacuum of space. He stared at the glowing twins huddled close to Lyra, their ethereal light flickering in sync with his racing heartbeat. The title they had given him, Master, echoed in his mind. What did it truly mean? Was he ready for the destiny they hinted at? Lyra's hand squeezed his. "You feel it too," she whispered. John nodded, eyes never leaving the twins. "It's like something inside me is waking up, something I don't understand." Sela stepped forward, her glow dimming to a steady blue. "The power within you is linked to our bloodline. It is ancient, older than you can imagine. You were chosen long before you set foot in our world." "Chosen," John repeated, the word feeling strange on his tongue. "Yes," Aaron said, his voice calm but resolute. "Our ancestors forged a bond with humans thousands of years ago, a secret alliance to protect both our worlds from the darkness lurking beyond." John swallowed hard. "But why me? Why now?" Sila's eyes locked on his. "Because the shadow fleet hunting us is the same darkness, and only you hold the key to stopping it." John's mind reeled. The peaceful life he once knew was gone, replaced by an impossible destiny, tangled with aliens, ancient alliances, and cosmic threats. He glanced at Lyra, her pale face etched with exhaustion and worry. The unborn twins inside her were fragile, their survival hanging by a thread. Protecting them wasn't just about keeping Lyra safe, it was about preserving hope itself. Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. "Incoming transmission," Sila called out, rushing to the console. A flickering hologram appeared, distorted, static-filled. John squinted. The figure was cloaked in shadow, face hidden. A cold, mechanical voice echoed through the cabin. "Master John, you cannot hide from us. Surrender the twins and their mother, or face annihilation." John's fists clenched. "Who are you?" he demanded. The figure chuckled, a sound like grinding metal. "We are the Harrowers, guardians of balance through control. Your defiance threatens order. We will take what belongs to us." The transmission cut off. "A what?" John asked. "Harrows," Aaron corrected grimly. "A faction born from the same alien race as Lyra's people, but corrupted. They believe power must be seized, not shared. They hunt our bloodline to extinguish hope." John's stomach twisted. The Harrowers were ruthless, unyielding. Their arrival meant a war no one was prepared for. "We need to prepare," Lyra said weakly but firmly. "They will come." John nodded, feeling the burden of leadership settle heavily on his shoulders. Over the next hours, John trained under the guidance of Aaron and Sila. The twins taught him to channel the strange, energy awakening within, a force that allowed him to manipulate light and matter in subtle ways. At first, it was small, a flicker of light dancing between his fingers, a gentle warmth that calmed Lyra's pain. But as he concentrated, the power grew stronger, pulsing through his veins like wildfire. John's confidence grew, but so did his fear. Could he control this gift, or would it consume him? One night, as the ship cruised silently through the void, John found himself alone on the observation deck. He gazed out at the swirling stars, lost in thought. Suddenly, the twins appeared beside him, their light casting soft shadows. "Master," Scylla said softly. "It is time." John turned to them. "Time for what?" "To embrace the awakening fully," Aaron explained. "The power within you is connected to the twins. Only by uniting can we stand against the harrowers." John felt a mixture of anticipation and dread. The twins extended their hands, and the glowing energy surged between them and John, intertwining. A wave of visions flooded his mind. Battles among stars, ancient temples, sacrifices made by those who came before. He saw glimpses of his own future, standing tall amid chaos, fighting to protect the fragile hope born of his bond with Lyra and the twins. But the visions shifted. A shadowy figure, cloaked and terrifying, whispered threats of destruction and loss. John staggered back, breath ragged. "Can I do this?" he whispered. Scylla smiled gently. "You are not alone. We are with you." Suddenly, alarms blared through the ship, harrows approaching. Aaron shouted, rushing to the controls. John's heart hammered. The time to prepare had come. As the ship dropped out of hyperspace, the vast fleet of harrower vessels filled the viewports. Sleek, dark, and menacing. The sanctuary ship was outnumbered, but not outmatched. John took his place at the helm, the newfound power humming inside him. The twins hovered beside him, radiant and ready. Lyra lay in the medical bay, her condition fragile but stable. "Hold the line," John commanded voice. Steady despite the storm raging inside. The battle began. Energy beams tore through space. Explosions lighting the void, like fireworks gone wrong. John called upon his power, weaving shields of light around the ship, deflecting blasts. Aaron and Scylla directed counterattacks, their energy bolts striking enemy vessels with precision. Despite the overwhelming odds, the sanctuary fought back fiercely, but as the fight wore on, a harrower ship broke through their defenses and locked onto the medical bay. John's blood ran cold. "Lyra's in danger," he shouted. Without hesitation, John surged toward the breach, his power flaring like a blazing star. He burst through the enemy boarding party, fighting with a ferocity born of love and desperation. The harrowers faltered. John reached Lyra, shielding her with a dome of radiant energy. The twins joined him, their light amplifying his shield. The attackers retreated, but John knew this was only the beginning. The harrowers would stop at nothing. As the sanctuary ship limped away from the battlefield, John felt the heavy weight of responsibility settle deeper. He was not just a man anymore. He was a protector, a master of ancient power, a beacon of hope for two worlds. Cliffhanger. As John's powers grow stronger, an unexpected betrayal from within threatens to shatter their fragile alliance. Meanwhile, Lyra's labor begins prematurely, and the fate of her twins and the entire bloodline hangs in the balance. Can John survive the enemy outside and the danger within? Betrayal and birth. The sanctuary ship was eerily quiet after the battle. The low hum of damaged systems was the only sound echoing through the corridors. John's mind was a tempest of worry, Lyra's premature labor, the growing threat of the harrowers, and worst of all, the shadows of betrayal that now crept inside, their own ranks. He stood by the medical bay door, his hand trembling as he pushed it open. Inside, Lyra lay pale but resolute, beads of sweat on her forehead, clutching at his hand. The twins' soft glow illuminated the room in a gentle, otherworldly light. "John," she whispered, voice strained. "They're coming. I can feel it." John's heart clenched. He had promised to protect them all, yet he felt helpless watching Lyra suffer. Suddenly, the medbay's emergency alarms blared, a piercing warning that sent chills down John's spine. Aaron burst in, his usual calm shattered. We have a breach in the ship's core systems. Someone is sabotaging us. John's eyes narrowed. Sabotage? From inside. Sila's voice cut in over the comm. It appears we have a traitor. Someone is feeding information to the harrowers. John's fists clenched. The sanctuary was already on the brink. Betrayal within would be the final blow. With the medical team rushing to assist Lyra, John headed to the ship's security hub alongside Aaron and Sila. The twins floated beside him, their glowing forms flickering with anxiety. Who could it be? John muttered. We trusted everyone. Aaron pulled up the ship's internal surveillance logs. Look here. This section of the ship shows unauthorized access just before the battle. John's eyes widened as he recognized the figure, a crew member named Jax, someone they had all counted on. John felt a cold rage. We need to find him, now. Sila nodded. He may have left the ship by now, but we will track him. Meanwhile, in a shadowed corner of the ship, Jax's face was twisted with guilt and fear. His hands trembled as he tapped coordinates into a hidden comm device. I never wanted this, he whispered, but they threatened my family, the harrowers. They promised safety if I helped them. Back in the medbay, Lyra's labor intensified. John held her hand tightly, whispering words of encouragement, even as he felt the pressure of the enemy closing in. Suddenly, the ship jolted violently, a warning that the harrowers had found them again. Shield failure in the rear sector. Aaron yelled from the control room. John's mind raced. Lyra needs to be safe. He turned to the twins. Protect her. The twins' glow intensified, surrounding Lyra with a shield of shimmering energy. As the battle resumed, John and his allies fought fiercely to repel the harrowers' boarding parties, but the traitors' sabotage had weakened their defenses. Amidst the chaos, Lyra screamed in pain. John rushed back to her side. John, they're coming. The twins, they're ready to enter the world. But it's dangerous. The harrowers will try to take them. John's eyes burned with determination. I won't let that happen. With the help of the medical team and the twins' protective energy, Lyra gave birth to two small, radiant beings, half human, half alien, glowing with a mysterious power. John gazed at them in awe. These were not just children, they were the hope for two worlds, but their arrival triggered a sudden, terrifying alarm. Warning, unauthorized vessel approaching at high speed, Sila announced. The harrowers had returned, more ruthless than ever. John stood, holding the twins close. We have to make a choice. Fight here and risk losing everything, or escape and live to fight another day. Suddenly, a violent explosion rocked the ship. The lights flickered, systems failing. John realized the worst. The traitor had sabotaged the life support systems. As the ship began to lose atmosphere, John's mind raced. We can't stay. We have to escape. Lyra, weak but determined, nodded. The twins floated beside John, their light pulsing with urgency. John led the small group to the escape pods. The ship trembled around them as alarms screamed. Just as they prepared to launch, a figure blocked their path. Jax, the traitor. I'm sorry, he said, eyes filled with tears. I didn't want this, but I have to stop them too. Before John could react, Jax lunged forward, triggering a concealed device. The blast knocked John back, sending him crashing into the wall. He struggled to stand as the corridor filled with smoke. Jax's voice echoed, "Run! Save them!" John's vision blurred. The last thing he saw was the escape pods launching away from the dying sanctuary ship. As John drifted into unconsciousness, a fierce determination burned within him. No matter the cost, he would protect Lyra and the twins. He would face the harrowers, and he would uncover the true depths of his own power. Cliffhanger. As John awakens aboard the escape pod, he realizes they are not alone. A mysterious signal intercepts their path. Could it be an ally or another threat? Meanwhile, the fate of the sanctuary ship and the traitor's true motives remain shrouded in darkness. The master's choice. John's eyes fluttered open slowly, the cold sting of recycled air in the cramped escape pod filling his lungs. His body ached, bruised from the blast that had nearly ended everything aboard the sanctuary ship. Lyra was beside him, pale but conscious, cradling the twins whose soft glow filled the small cabin with a warm light. Outside the viewport, stars stretched endlessly, but something else caught John's attention, a blinking signal on the pod's console. It was a transmission, weak but unmistakably alive. "Lyra," John whispered, voice hoarse. "There's someone out there." "A signal," her eyes widened. "An ally or more harrowers?" John tapped the console, bringing up a flickering hologram of a mysterious figure cloaked in a shadowy hood. The figure's voice was calm, steady. "John, if you can hear me, I am Ellis. From the Resistance Fleet, we've been tracking the Harrowers' movements for years. Your actions aboard the sanctuary ship have not gone unnoticed. We want to help." John's heart surged with hope. "Can you protect us?" Ellis nodded. "Yes, but time is short. The Harrowers will come for the twins. They are more than mere infants. They are the key to ending this war." The pod's automated systems began a slow descent toward a nearby asteroid field, Ellis's designated rendezvous point. John held the twins close. Their glowing eyes blinked slowly, as if sensing the heavy burden upon them. Lyra's voice trembled. "What do they mean? How are our children the key?" John's gaze darkened. "I don't know yet, but I promise we'll find out together." As the pod docked with the Resistance's hidden base within the asteroid, John and Lyra were greeted by a diverse group of beings, humans and aliens united against the Harrowers. Ellis emerged, pulling back her hood to reveal a fierce yet compassionate woman. "Welcome to Hope," she said, "but your journey is far from over." In the base's command center, holographic maps displayed the Harrowers' expanding reach and their obsession with the twins. "They believe these children possess a genetic key, ancient DNA that could unlock immense power," Ellis explained. "If the Harrowers capture them, they will gain control over entire star systems." John felt the weight of responsibility crush down on him. "They're not just children," he whispered. "They're weapons, or saviors." The days that followed were a whirlwind of preparations. The twins' powers grew stronger, able to manipulate energy, heal wounds, and even communicate telepathically. John trained alongside the Resistance, fighters determined to protect his newfound family, yet a growing tension simmered beneath the surface. Some Resistance members distrusted the twins, fearing the very power that made them special. One evening, as John sat beside Lyra, the twins floating gently between them, a chilling realization struck. "The Harrowers have spies here," he said, softly. "Someone's been leaking our plans." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "We have no choice but to root them out." The hunt for the traitor was harrowing. Trust shattered like glass. Alliances tested. Then, in a hidden chamber deep within the base, John confronted the saboteur, none other than a high-ranking Resistance officer named Kale. Kale's cold eyes met John's. "You don't understand. The Harrowers offered peace, power. We can end this war if we join them." John's voice was steel. "At what cost? Betrayal isn't peace." The confrontation ended, with Kale fleeing into the asteroid tunnels, vowing to bring the Harrowers down upon them. John knew the final battle was coming. As the Resistance prepared for war, John knelt beside the twins. "Your destiny isn't just survival," he told them. "It's to change everything." The twins' light pulsed brighter, a sign of their readiness. The Harrowers attacked with fury, their ships blotting out the stars. Explosions rocked the base. John led the fighters in a desperate defense, the twins' powers turning the tide, healing the wounded, shielding allies and disrupting enemy weapons. In the heart of the battle, John faced the Harrowers' leader, a towering figure clad in dark armor. "You cannot win," the leader snarled. "They belong to us." John stood firm. They belong to hope. In a final surge, John and the twins unleashed a wave of energy that shattered the enemy fleet. The harrowers retreated, broken and defeated. In the aftermath, as peace settled like a fragile dawn, John looked at the twins, symbols of unity between species of hope born from struggle. Lyra smiled softly. What now? John's eyes held a new light. Now we build a future, one where fear no longer rules. Final lesson. The story of John and the twins is a testament to humanity's enduring spirit, the power to rise above fear and division, to protect what is vulnerable, and to forge alliances beyond borders and worlds. True mastery lies not in control or dominance, but in compassion, courage, and the willingness to embrace the unknown together. The future is not written by those who wield power alone, but by those who dare to believe in hope.